Kevin Durant is exactly what Machiavelli warned us about 500 years ago.
Damn.
It's the 2026 All-Star Weekend and the All-Star Game is about to begin.
That's how you feeling?
However, KD has other things on his mind. He's pacing the sideline, eyes glued to his phone, visibly worried. He's not checking the game plan. He's watching his secret life unravel in real time. Screenshots are flooding the internet from an anonymous account allegedly belonging to him. Screenshots of him comparing his former coach and teammate with dictators, writing that his current teammate can't defend or shoot, or in some cases even claim that they suffer with mental deficiencies.
What?
More complimentary towards a rapper who also had his reputation ruined because of leaked secrets than his actual coach and teammates who helped him win 2 rings, 4 scoring titles, 2 championships, 5th team, 37 years old, and is hiding behind a fake account at the All-Star Game. In 1513, a man named Niccolo Machiavelli predicted this exact situation. In an exile,
Man, niggas that hate me. I be saying how I feel on my motherfucking main account. Nigga, I give no fucks. Y'all gonna hear this shit.
outside of Florence, banished from the city he once served, he wrote a book about power, how to get it, how to keep it, and how the pursuit of it can destroy a prince who doesn't understand what it really costs. The book was called The Prince, and it became the most infamous manual for power ever written. Machiavelli wasn't writing about morality, he wasn't interested in good or evil. He was interested with only one question: what does a man do when he wants power? And what does that obsession turn him into? He had no idea that
Kevin
500
fucking
years
Durant.
later, his book would describe the career of Kevin Durant
fucking
with
Durant.
100% accuracy. To understand KD, you have to understand the society that created him. The NBA has one currency that matters more than anything: championships. Every legacy debate, the GOAT talk, every argument of who's better comes down to the same question: how many rings you got? Charles Barkley, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, some of the best players to have played the game. Every single one of them though have one huge asterisk
No,
next to
they
their name: no rings. Machiavelli understood this exact kind of society. He wrote that a prince must focus entirely on the acquisition of power because the world judges only by results. He argued that the methods don't matter. Cruelty, betrayal, or deception, every single one is justified as long as the prince achieves his objective. He wrote that men judge generally more with the result and not the method used to achieve it. In 2016, Kevin Durant heard the message loud and clear. He was 27 years old, already having won 4 scoring titles and even an MVP. He was just missing the most important achievement of all: the NBA championship. He was coming off years of continued heartbreak in the playoffs, including a loss in the NBA Finals against the Miami Heat led by LeBron James, who was on the same exact boat as Kevin Durant until he joined the Miami Heat and won his first NBA championship. That would be nothing though compared to this season's heartbreak, where he watched his team, the Oklahoma City Thunder, blow a 3-1 lead against the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. A team that just won 73 games, the greatest regular season in NBA history, and all they needed to do was win one more game.
Make it suck.
Instead, it would just be another wasted season, continuing his trajectory of becoming
this stupid
another
player.
Charles Barkley. So he did what Machiavelli's prince would do. He looked at the landscape, identified the most powerful army in the kingdom, and joined it. On July 4, 2016, Kevin Durant signed with the Golden State Warriors. This became the most hated move in NBA history, with fans destroying his jersey, his own peers calling it the wickedest move in NBA history. He left his own friend and duo in Russell Westbrook in dust to join the team that just beat them, leaving him to rot ringless to this day. But KD didn't care because the NBA said rings are everything. Machiavelli said the ends justify the means, so he chose the path of maximum certainty towards the only thing the system told him mattered: 2 straight championships and finals MVP in both. In 2017, he dropped 39 in a closeout game against LeBron, and in 2018, he would do it again. By every measurable standard, the NBA...
The thing is though, it's like it's not even like they're getting blown out of these games. Like, they're in the games. Like, these are competitive ass games.
claims to value, KD had accomplished it. But here's where Machiavelli's warning begins. Machiavelli also wrote something that the highlights won't show you. He wrote that a prince who
Oh
comes to
shit.
power through the arms of others and through fortune rather than through his own virtue will find that maintaining that power is the hardest thing of all. The acquisition was easy, but the legitimacy was impossible. KD had accomplished something he was chasing his
My
whole
bad, y'all.
career.
I ain't know
Win
my
a
shit could do
ring,
that.
not one, but two. He waited for the validation. Fans acknowledging his success, but instead, what he got was asterisks. Yeah, but he joined the 73-win team. Yeah, but those were Steph's teams. Yeah, but they already won before and after him. He thought that the ends were supposed to justify the
Hell
means
no.
and the rings were supposed to silence everyone.
Why do you care
but
so
they
much?
didn't. And this is what Machiavelli warned us about. A prince who seized power through the easiest path available will spend the rest of his reign trying to prove he deserved it. So how does a prince respond when the throne doesn't feel like his? When the crown is on his head but nobody bows? Machiavelli had an answer with that too. He wrote that a prince must know how to act as both the fox and the lion. The lion scares the wolves through raw strength. The fox discovers the traps through cunning deception. A prince who relies only on the lion does not understand power, but a prince who relies only on the fox will eventually be exposed. On the court, KD is the lion. A prince who relies only on the lion does not understand power, but a prince who relies only on the fox will eventually be exposed. On the court, KD is the lion. Maybe the greatest lion the NBA has ever encountered. 6'11" with a 7'5" wingspan who moves like a guard and can
7'5".
shoot over any defender when he feels like it.
7'5".
There is no defensive scheme in basketball that can consistently stop
So he's
Kevin
7
Durant.
foot with a
When that
7'5"
ball is
wingspan.
in his hands at the
What
top of
the
the key
fuck?
and rises into that jumper, there's nothing you can do but watch it
What
go in.
the
The
fuck?
lion is undeniable, but off the court, KD had always been the fox. And this is where Machiavelli's warning gets personal. In 2017, just months after winning the NBA championship, KD was caught posting from his real account in third person. He wrote that he didn't like the OKC organization, that the roster wasn't that good, and that it was just him and Russ. In a moment where
I mean,
he
he
should have been
ain't lying.
celebrating having achieved the pinnacle of basketball, here he was defending his decision to leave on Twitter. All because he didn't get the legitimacy in the eyes of the NBA.
If you're not using your VA loan benefit, you might be leaving money on the table. The VA loan is basically home ownership, but make it actually attainable. First, there's no down payment. Yeah, 0. You don't have to grind
On Twitter. All because he didn't get the legitimacy in the eyes of the NBA. The Fox instead accidentally showed his true colors with public. He then apologized, saying he was disappointed in himself for acting so childish. But to Machiavelli, that apology would be meaningless. Because Machiavelli wrote that the prince who uses deception has one absolute rule that can never be broken. He must never be caught. The entire strategy collapses the moment people see the mask slip. And millions of people across social media just saw KD's mask slip. But here's what makes KD a truly interesting Machiavellian case study. He didn't learn the lesson. He didn't stop being the fox, he just got another mask. Now in February 2026, almost a decade later, KD is now on his 5th franchise. He's 37 years old, still chasing the legitimacy. And now, another one of his masks slipped again. Screenshots are flooding the internet of his posts and messages with group chats. The most damning of all being him suggesting his young teammate Jabari Smith Jr. suffers with mental deficiencies. The same teammate that holds KD at the highest regard, being his idol, growing up wanting to emulate his game. The same teammate that asks the staff to tailor his entire schedule to be with KD at all times. Instead of being the veteran leader that the young Houston Rockets expected him to be, KD would instead choose to call them crayon eaters. All because of his void of legitimacy driving his insecurity. Here's the thing that Machiavelli understood that KD doesn't seem to. Being the fox is a strategy, not an identity. You can use deception to achieve a specific objective, and then you put the mask away. KD doesn't use the fox strategically, he uses it compulsively. He's not deceiving people to gain power, he's deceiving people because he can't stop. He argues with teenagers on Twitter and shit-talks his own teammates to defend his legitimacy. That's not a fox. That's an addiction to the shadows. Machiavelli would look at KD and see a prince who's the most powerful lion in the kingdom, who keeps sabotaging himself by being a fox who can't stay hidden. The lion could carry him to legitimacy and the talent could silence every critic. But the fox keeps crawling out at midnight and undoing everything that the lion built during the day. Now KD's on his 5th team, and for the 5th time his own fanbase has turned against him. The Houston Rockets have fallen from 3rd to 6th in the Western Conference. The team that was supposed to be KD's redemption arc is crumbling not because of anything that happened on the court, but because the fox got caught again. Machiavelli's warning was simple. The prince, who can't control when to be the fox and when to be the lion, will eventually be destroyed by the contradiction between the two. KD is the lion who can't stop being the fox, and every time the fox is exposed, it makes the lion smaller. Machiavelli wrote entire chapters of The Prince about one warning he considered more important than almost any other. That warning was to never rely on mercenaries. He wrote that mercenaries are dangerous and useless and have no loyalty beyond their paycheck. They're brave among friends and cowards among with enemies. They fight for you when things are looking great, but the moment the war gets difficult, they desert. Now, Machiavelli was talking about armies, but the principle translates with perfection to the NBA, because in basketball there are two kinds of stars. There are citizen soldiers and there's mercenaries. A citizen soldier is a player who builds something, who arrives before the kingdom is great and puts in everything he can to make it so, who suffers through the losing seasons and rebuilding years and stays anyway. Not because it's the smart move, but because it's his city and his team and his people. Steph Curry was drafted by a franchise that had been irrelevant for decades. He had ankle injuries so bad, people thought his career might be over before it started. And what did he do? He built the Warriors from nothing into a dynasty. Won a championship before KD arrived and won another one after KD left. Steph has the legitimacy KD doesn't because the Warriors are Steph's kingdom that he built brick by brick. Giannis came to Milwaukee as a scrawny teenager from Greece, a small market team which hasn't won an NBA championship since the Kareem and Oscar Robertson era. Nobody expected him to stay. Every year, the rumors would start about him leaving for a bigger city, a bigger brand, a better chance. But he stayed, and in 2021, he would win them a championship. A championship nobody in the NBA could question the legitimacy of. Now compare that with KD. After the 2 championship years in Golden State, he tore his Achilles in the 2019 finals trying to carry the Warriors. He would leave that summer to Brooklyn to build something of his own, a mercenary big three. He recruited Kyrie and Harden, which on paper sounds unstoppable. However, they would implode almost immediately.
What if your passport stops working when you need it most?
Motherfuckers stop
Rules
getting injured.
change. Borders shift.
Those the
Access to
3
healthcare,
unhealthiest
education,
niggas.
and safe relocation isn't
Kevin Durant was the healthiest out of the 3.
He recruited Kyrie and Harden, which on paper sounds unstoppable. However, they would implode almost immediately. Kyrie had more interest talking about how the earth is flat and also couldn't suit up on the court because he refused to get vaccinated on top of his injuries. Harden would also deal with the injuries and would eventually get tired of Kyrie's nonsense, so he did what a mercenary would, to leave when shit gets hard. KD was now left alone just like Westbrook when KD ditched him, and to KD's credit, he played some of his best basketball. That included his 48-point game in Game 7 against the Bucks, where he was single-handedly keeping Brooklyn in the 4th quarter and almost pulled off a win, if not for his foot being on the line by an inch. Instead, he would watch the Bucks win and go on to win the NBA championship that year, earning Giannis the legitimacy KD desired. After getting swept the next year, KD would choose to leave again, as he would demand a trade, so he would get traded to the Suns. What happened here? Well, a first round sweep by Minnesota, then a 36-46 season. Now, with leaked messages, we know what he really thought about his time there, as he complained that the Suns were his team when they lost, but Booker's team when they won. After all of those years, the thing that haunts him the most isn't his lack of championships anymore, but instead his reputation. Now he's with Houston, and after joining the team, he would tell the media that it was a no-brainer, said that he loved the culture, and praised the young core. And now we know what he allegedly really thinks. This is mercenary behavior in purest form. Machiavelli warned that the mercenaries will praise you to your face and betray you the moment it serves them. They have no attachment to the land they fight for. They move from kingdom to kingdom, extracting what they can and leave ruin behind them. Machiavelli wrote that the prince who relies on mercenaries will never have a stable or secure kingdom because mercenaries are ambitious without discipline, disunited, and faithless. KD is on his 5th team at 37 not because of bad luck, but because he is the mercenary that Machiavelli warned every prince about. Except in this story, KD is both the prince and the mercenary. He keeps hiring himself and wonders why the kingdom keeps falling apart. Machiavelli's most famous line is also his most misunderstood. He wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Most think that he was saying fear is good and love is weakness, but what he actually argued was more specific. Love is maintained by an obligation which men will break whenever it serves them because most men are selfish. Fear, however, preserves you by a dread of punishment that never fails. Love depends on other people, but fear depends on you. You control your destiny. KD has never understood this. When he chose to join the Warriors, he made the choice to be feared. However, his entire career since this has been defined by his obsession to be loved. His Twitter antics is the clearest proof. A prince who chose fear would never need a burner account. They wouldn't care what teenagers on Twitter thought about his legacy. He'd win his rings and let the rings speak for themselves. But KD can't do that. He needs to argue. He needs strangers on the internet to understand that he is great. That is not the behavior of a prince. That is the behavior of a man desperate to be loved by people who have already decided they won't. And there was another prince in the NBA who understood this perfectly, LeBron James. In 2010, LeBron went on national television and told his hometown he was leaving to join Miami to create the Big Three. He chose fear to accomplish something that he hasn't been able to do in Cleveland, to win a ring. At that moment, he became the biggest villain in the NBA. His own former fans would destroy his jersey, and even the Cavs owner would call him a coward. And LeBron did something KD has never been able to do. He embraced him being the villain. No burners, no arguing with fans, or explaining himself in third person. Then he accomplished what he set out to do. 2 championships with Miami. Then he went home to Cleveland, the same city that had called him unthinkable names just a couple years ago. And in 2016, he would deliver the greatest championship in NBA history, overcoming a 3-1 deficit against the same 73 Warriors that made a 3-1 comeback against the KD OKC Thunder. Kyrie's shot, the chase down block, the jubilation. It's moments and emotions like that KD hasn't been able to achieve even with the Warriors. LeBron chose fear, and eventually that fear transformed into something deeper than love. Reverence, which is the highest form of respect. KD made the same kind of move. He left his team to chase what the NBA has taught us is the most important currency, a ring. But where LeBron accepted being feared, KD wanted to be feared on the court and loved off the court. He wanted the rings, but also wanted everyone to say that he earned them the right way. He chose the easiest path and wanted to call it the hardest road. He wanted to be a mercenary but be treated like a citizen soldier. Machiavelli warned that the prince who tries to be both loved and feared will end up being neither. LeBron chose fear and earned love. KD chose both and earned neither. Kevin Durant read the chapters of The Prince about how to seize power. He just never read the chapters about how to keep it. He joined the most powerful kingdom. He used deception to control narratives. He created and broke alliances based on advantage, but he ignored every warning about what comes after. KD got everything the NBA told him to chase. Rings, MVPs, and scoring titles. He gained power with the easiest path. It's just that he didn't expect to have to defend his legitimacy during his reign. So he chooses to be a fox even though he already accomplished obtaining power. Because he still yearns for love, he needs to be a fox to defend his legitimacy. That's the real Machiavellian irony. Not that he failed to win power, but it's that he won it in a way that made everyone question whether it was truly his. 5 franchises and none of them claim him. Seen
That's
as a
facts,
snake
though.
that would do anything to win a ring. The most gifted scorer ever is arguing with strangers online, defending his legitimacy. But here's what Machiavelli would want us to understand. The warning was never really specifically about KD. It's about what the NBA rewards. The NBA has told athletes rings are the only measure of greatness. The NBA has created a culture where loyalty is naive and optimization is smart. So to someone who's chasing greatness, is it ridiculous for them to mimic Machiavellian tactics? The NBA is a Machiavellian kingdom, so we shouldn't be surprised when a prince plays by Machiavellian rules. KD only learned the acquisition chapters because he was obsessed with gaining power. KD isn't the villain of the story, he's just a product of the Machiavellian society. And Machiavelli warned us 500 years ago that we wouldn't like what we saw.
Man, look, yeah. See you in a couple seconds, not a couple minutes, man. Look, yeah.